you through how to meet the different target levels for the engaging with content learning progression. So we start by looking at what are we trying to accomplish with this particular learning progression. The goal here is to encourage your creativity. As you go through school, so much of what you do just because you're told to do it. And that's really not what you're going to be doing in your real life. When you get a career, you want to be able to solve problems. And that's really about thinking outside the box, right? So I want to teach you some strategies. This is a learnable skill. So we're looking to develop flexible thinking, originality, fluency with concepts, and elaboration. And I'll show you how this rubric, how this learning progression can pull you through to develop those skills. We start by working on your fluency with the vocabulary and terminology and being able to apply it in various contexts and elaborate on your understanding so that someone knows what you're thinking. So we start just by earning 75% on one content mastery checkpoint, just one, and we take about 5 of them every single unit, with a few exceptions. So you earn 75% on any one. If you do not earn 75% on any one content mastery checkpoint, that will give you not enough evidence on this learning progression. If you do earn at least 75% on one, then we look for you to earn 85% on two, any two within the 5 attempts. We do an attempt every week, roughly. So that's, you don't take all 5 at once or one right after another. You do once a week so that we develop and really integrate the vocabulary and terminology over time, and you hold on to it. So it's not something that you should cram. It's something you actually want to know and be able to replicate over and over again. So if you don't earn 85% twice, but you've earned 75% once, that's beginning level. If you do earn 85% twice, then you also need to show your brainstorming on your project. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit. So we're going to mostly use this engaging with content to assess your projects. So the engineering design projects have many parts to them. One part is brainstorming. So to brainstorm, which I'll teach you, there's a bunch of different steps you're going to take. So you have to show that. So you use the brainstorming to generate ideas. If not, that's beginning. If yes, then we check, did you overtly use the terminology and concepts from this unit when discussing your thinking about the assignment? The assignment in this case is the engineering design project. If not, then that's beginning. So you have 3 things to do to earn developing: getting to 85% on your 2 content mastery checkpoints, showing evidence of your brainstorming, and overtly using terminology and concepts within your project documentation. How do you get proficient? So here's where we left off. There's 3 things to do to get to proficient. One is you have to earn 95% on the last of the 5 content mastery checkpoints, or better, obviously. So at least, so you've gotten your 85% twice, your last one has to be 95%. Now 95% is greater than 85%, so it can count as one of your 85%, but it has to be on your last one, because I want you to maintain and hold on to that knowledge so that you can do the next parts. If you don't do this, you're at developing. If you do this, then we look at your brainstorming. Did you generate a large quantity and variety of ideas, providing clear rationale for your choices during your brainstorming? You have to document this. So this is where you're writing all this, you're thinking down so that I can follow it. This is elaboration, this is fluency, this is flexible thinking, right? We're building on those earlier skill levels. And then I correctly state physics concepts to explain your decision-making, experimental design, data analysis, and or poor or good performance. So any of that where you're really fleshing out the how you're applying the different terminology and vocabulary. If any of these are no, then you maintain developing level. If you've done all of these, that's proficient. So then we move on to C. Did you earn advanced? To earn advanced, you have 3 more things to do. I correctly apply physics concepts to explain all of that stuff. Right now, you didn't just try to. Here, you're stating the physics concepts, but here you're correctly applying them. If you correctly apply the physics concepts, that's what you need to do to get advanced. If you state the physics correctly but don't apply it correctly, that will leave you at proficient level. If you do this, we move on. Now let's check the brainstorming. I demonstrate fluency by generating a wide variety of ideas. So not just like the standard ones that are easy, but you really stick with it and flesh them out. And there's like all sorts of creative ideas you're showing. If not, that's proficient. If yes, I demonstrate flexibility by weighing the pros and cons of each idea before choosing which variables to test. So in the engineering design project, you have to test at least 3 different variables. You're going to use your brainstorming to do that. If yes to all of these, then we're going to move on to the expert level, right? If not, you're at the proficient level. So all of those, doing all of this is advanced. Let's look at what you have to do to get past the advanced level. Okay, so there's 4 things. Elaboration, detailed, qualitative, and quantitative proof that your project obeys multiple laws of physics from this and other units. Okay, you can see why that's expert. It's very complex, very sophisticated. If not, you're at the advanced level. If yes, let's check fluency. Fully integrating physics appropriately and correctly throughout all sections. So it's not just like its own section, it's not just in your brainstorming, but it's sprinkled throughout. I can really see that you're applying a variety of correct physics to figure out how to do this. I demonstrate originality by significantly investigating some less likely, more unusual ideas from my brainstorming to see if they are feasible. If you're not sure what things are less likely or more unusual, that's something you want to talk to me about before you make your decisions. I am happy to have that conversation because I know that that's, you might not know because it's less likely, more unusual. You don't know what's less likely, more unusual necessarily. So that's something we can talk about. If you don't do this, that's advanced. If you do, that's part of expert. And then lastly, for expert, I further demonstrate flexibility by investigating the effects of external variables on my design. So that's like, well, how does friction affect whether or not it's working well or not? Looking really at these things, like I'm saying that this is prohibiting me from getting better results. Well, I'm going to look into that and maybe measure it. Or we can talk more about that too. If you ever get to that level and you want to try stuff out, those are things we should talk about before you start. So doing all these things is expert. Given that we only do 6 or 7 projects a year, getting to the expert level is generally not one of our targets that we have time to investigate, unfortunately. This is the flowchart overall. Feel free to download it and have it available for yourself. It's in the module section of our class.